Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Rick Rubin's The Creative Act, A Way of Being. I got it right. Yes, we're on page 335 on Clean Slate. And I wanted to talk about this chapter specifically today because I think it's so important when it comes to creating work and how do we look past that stage of we've seen it 1,000 times and we keep making corrections on it. He talked about it a little bit earlier in the book when he talked about like demoitis and that idea of you loving the first draft and you keep trying to play with it and all you can think about is the first draft because that's what you heard and you're falling in love with that and you're kind of attached to it. Whereas this is speaking more to us that are playing and tinkering with the project, and we keep tinkering and trying to improve it and wanting to see things changed within the project because we want it to, we just like have a taste for it. Like, hey, I want to change this about it. And then when we go back to see the piece, see the change, we're paying attention to things, seeing it from like, are the changes being made versus like, did the changes get made and did it help it? So I think this is an interesting topic because I experience it oftentimes with myself when I'm looking at it, the feeling of me wanting a change, and then also when an artist or someone wants a change done in a project that I've created and I'm thinking against whatever they want and I'm like, I don't like that change, but they like it and they want it, and then it is made, whether or not we feel like it's hurting the project, whether or not we feel like, do we say something? Like, do I say something? Like, I just, okay, I'm going to say something, and you say it, and then there's a big debate on whether or not it's supposed to be there. So, I'm going to read some of the points, and I think I'm related, and I know that you're going to have similar feelings when he starts talking about it. So he goes into it and says, after spending thousands of hours working on a piece, it's difficult to judge it from a neutral place. When someone else experiences the work for the first time, after only 2 minutes, they may see it more clearly than you do. In time, almost every artist finds themselves too close to the things they make. After endlessly working on the same piece, perspective is lost. We develop a kind of blindness, doubt, and disorientation. And doubt and disorientation may creep in. Sorry, let me read that back. We develop a kind of blindness. Doubt and disorientation may creep in. Judgment is impaired. If we train ourselves to step away from the work, to truly detach from it, to distract ourselves completely, to dive fully into something else. After being away for a long period of time, when we come back, we just may be able to see it as if it read this back. After being away for a long period of time, when we come back, we just may be able to see it as if for the first time. This is the practice of cleaning the slate. The ability to create as an artist and experience the work as a first-time viewer, dropping baggage from the past of what you thought you wanted the work to be. The mission is to be in the present moment with the work. So, with that being said, I'm sure you have many examples in your head where you wanted a bunch of stuff done. You're working on a video or a piece of music, when you're working on painting, when you're working on a drawing, when you're working on your writing, and you get to a place where you're falling in love with it and you absolutely been spending so much time on it, and all of a sudden you have to take, and maybe it could be that it's a personal project. For me, it's a personal project. Like with my writing, I'm spending like a month on it, and then I have to walk away from it for like a couple months and I come back later. And I won't get into that example just yet, but I think what I've noticed so far when I do that and I come back, even just currently, I see things differently, or I judge the way that I was writing a bit differently because I'm not as attached to it anymore. I'm like, okay, no, my goal is to make a really cool piece that I love. And maybe in the time of my writing, or maybe in the time of creating, I was writing it for wrong reasons, or I was thinking I needed to do something that I really didn't need to do in that time period. There's often times when I'm writing, especially because it's my first one, I have all these weird pressures of like, I need it to be extraordinary. I need it to be unique. I need it to be all these things that like I'm pushing myself to make it so crazy that, and different, that kind of clouds my just natural ability of write the story that you love, write the story that's fun, and just let it come out and don't overthink it. So whenever I do, and I have stepped away from it and I came back, I see things that I like about my writing. And then I see other things that I don't, and I start to adjust it. So, when it comes to music videos specifically, definitely have felt times where, I didn't like, maybe maybe I don't like the suggestions of the changes from another person. Man, when it comes to my editing style and what I like to see, I'm very clean. Unless I have the budget to like make some really cool VFX, or get some visual effects artist to really do some cool things for me, or a really dope editor, which I've never worked with like an actual editor that is super talented and sees the things that I do differently. I've worked with other people to help me assemble edits, but a lot of times they're assembling it in the direction that I like, which is like very clean cut and making good decisions on when to cut and adjusting frames, so on and so forth. In times where I disagree with like changes in edits, it could be literally like images that I think and I find connection to that I'm wanting to put in a certain place. And I say, I like this shot because of these reasons, especially when it's a freestyle video. When it's a freestyle video, this is where like, I think the perspective, or run and gun videos, this is when the perspective can be very different from person to person. What I like is my taste and what I think I would love to show the world. Whereas another person could either find it dull or boring, or not see it the same way that I do in terms of framing or lighting, and they second guess the things that I'm asking to do. And that's where like it's a unique conversation. Things like that start to, like, over the years I've changed my perspective on how I view that. More and more when it comes to me worrying or like wanting it to be my decision, I've learned to just kind of let that go a little bit more, and just say, I start viewing it as client business relationship at that point, which it could be the wrong thing for me to do, and it also could be the right thing. They're the ones paying for it. They're the ones like wanting it a certain way. And similar to how Rick puts it, is like, I start viewing it as, this is not my defining piece. Okay, they want to change it. I gave them my purity. I gave them my thought. And if they don't like it, I don't want to waste my energy trying to convince them that this is the direction it should go. I think if it was my movie and I was arguing with the studio exec, I think I would put up a hell of a bigger fight, because it's something that I wrote, something that came from me, and I know that this is my vision. Whereas when I write a treatment for an artist and they want things changed, I'm just like, okay, well, you asked me to do it. I did it. I created it the way that I see it. I've done that all in my past, and I've proven it countless amount of times. But if you want to have something different because you see it differently, I understand that it's your brand. I understand that it's your vision of whatever your song is. So, okay, let's change it. I'm not going to get upset about it anymore. I'm just going to say, I would rather let them see it through on their vision. And I would rather hear and understand, like, okay, this is the collaboration, and maybe it's a better piece now, and I start to detach a little bit, like he suggests, from the frustration of changing things. So the clean slating to me is like, I'm curious about how that thought is from an artist's perspective, like the clean slating of what another artist thinks when it comes to stuff like that. He mentions in here, he says the ego comes in. He says, when you start asking for changes, you're anticipating each part, selectively paying attention to see if changes were made, rather than listening to the whole song as a whole and seeing if it's actually better than it was before. The ego comes in and saying, I wanted this to happen. I got what I wanted, so it's problem solved. And then he says, it's like not necessarily true. Yes, the changes were made, but did it improve the work? Or have they sent off a domino effect that created other problems? He mentions a way to practice keeping a clean slate is to avoid looking at the work too often. If you finish a section or come to a sticking point, consider putting the project away and engaging with it putting the project away and not engaging with it for a period of time. Let it sit for a minute and a week or longer while you go get lost. Talks about using meditation or like thinking about something completely different. He says time is where learning occurs, unlearning as well. And those are things that I think about when it comes to music videos, because the music video industry is so fast paced, especially when it comes to labels, commissioners and directors. They want something next week. They hit you up on a Friday. They want to shoot on Tuesday. They don't even have a treatment yet, and they need this done now. And then they need it turned in possibly in a couple of weeks or something. And so 2 weeks, okay, cool. 2 weeks can happen in editing. The creation of the idea might be different. You're going to probably get a very cookie cutter idea unless that person that's writing for you is very tapped into the song and very connected to it. Boy, when it comes to people coming with ideas for music videos, you don't understand how many people think the same way when it comes to directors writing. Like, I've seen so many treatments that look so similar or have been done before, and they keep trying to wash and repeat. And it's almost like there's some kind of cookie cutter way to make a music video. And so I think the more that people could be patient with a few things when it comes to this idea of clean slating, you write an idea, sit on it, let it go by, and then maybe give them like 3 weeks or 2 weeks, give them a heads up to write something. Maybe that you want it in 3 weeks, whatever they're going to write. They write something within a week, they give it to you, you sit on it for 2 weeks, let them sit on it for 2 weeks, and then like rethink it. Be like, hey, I want you to write something this week. See what your initial thoughts are, sit on it, and then I'm gonna ask you again in 2 weeks, what do you think about your idea, and is there anything you would like to change? And so you give that person the time to kind of develop it, if they want to develop it, or sit on it and come up with something new and fresher and more original or something. Instead of rushing ideas, you're rushing and pushing a time limit. So there's no real room for clean slating when it comes to like actually writing treatments and music videos, I don't think. The other part is the editing. It's like once you get to edit, a lot of times again, if I say 2 weeks turnaround, it's not bad. Someone could edit a video probably in a day, if not like 2 or 3 days, depending on like the amount of footage and whether or not there was a vision for the edit prior. If there's a vision for the edit prior to the video actually being edited, you could probably get it done within a few hours. So at the same time, if you're getting a video done within a day, you're speeding across it pretty quickly, and you're making just initial decisions on like, okay, I like this clip, I like this clip, I like this clip, and then for me, when I think about that, I love getting a video edited within 6 hours. I can probably do that easy 6 hours, turn around a video, and then I love to sleep on it, and then I wake up and I see all these mistakes. I don't try to send it to the artist right away, unless I know the artist personally, then I'll send it to them right away. But I'm learning more and more to like not do that, to just sit on it, sleep on it, and then come back and then see all your mistakes, because they're possibly not allowing. You're kind of cutting off that circulation of allowing yourself to sleep on it. So you sleep on it, you see the next day, you're correcting some things, maybe you're replacing some stuff that didn't work, By the end of the day 2, you should probably have a good edit, right? And then I kind of feel like then I think, and personally, the version 2 or 3 in your editing, especially if you're confident as an editor, is usually the edit. Like, I think that's usually the edit. Now, if it's like they start going back and nitpicking about the way they look, or maybe possibly suggesting switching scenes around, then it starts to get a little muddy, because like when they're starting basing edits off of the way they look and the way they look, they have it. They're tapping into their ego. Yes, again, they're paying for it. Yes, again, they're the client, so I get that, and they have a brand to uphold. I get that. At the same time, they're making judgment on themselves, whereas another person, me, if I'm the fan, if I'm the one directing, and I think they look great, they're disregarding like what I feel their emotion is, or disregarding the feel of my perspective. So they're kind of using their ego to make a decision. And I don't want to make the word ego sound evil, or like they're being like suck up or something. It's just that's what it's labeled as, the ego inside of you saying, oh, I don't really look good right here. And so no one else is going to think that. You know, I'm looking at myself right now when I'm editing, I'm like, damn, I'm a fat fuck. But no, okay, until I say it, you guys might be like, oh, he's kind of a chunky guy, but I'm not thinking, personally, you're not thinking about how fat I am. I am thinking how fat I am. And I'm thinking about like the way I look and things like that. But I've gotten over those things. I'm like, okay, I am who I am. I'm losing my hair, right? Losing my hair. It is what it is. There's so many times people comment on the fact that I wear hats all the time. I'm like, I like wearing hats. I wore hats when I had hair. So probably why I don't have it anymore, you know? But it's taken me a long time to get over those things. And so, yeah, I mean, I think the moment you could reach that as an artist, I bet your videos will probably look a lot better, because you're not going to be judging an edit off of the way you look or whether you're wearing certain things. Man, you don't know how many artists I work with where that's almost always the problem. Like, they don't like the way they look. I try to tell them like, hey, I think you look great. I think you look fine, but they don't want to listen. So again, this is where like, I'm like, am I being a good director by listening to them, or am I being a bad director by giving in to them? I've gotten both sides of that feeling. I think it's like pick and choose your battles, maybe. You know, I've had someone in Hawaii, when I was doing the intro video, he told me, you know, James, you have really good ideas, but you give in to them sometimes. You really should fight for them more. And I was like, no, I get it. No, I appreciate those words. I was like, I said the same thing I'm saying right now. I was like, personally, I'd rather just figure it out. You know, if they don't want to do something, okay, cool. I'm gonna figure out an alternate solution and try to create something else. And I've adapted so much, and I honestly think that's why a lot of artists would like working with me as a director, is because I'm very easy to work with when it comes to. And maybe that's not a good thing, but who knows? I don't think about it like that. I just know when to pick and choose my battles. If I really see something and I really am very like passionate about whatever is going on, I will like put my foot down. If I'm not, then it is what it is. You know, this conversation, I'm thinking about it, you know, has kind of evolved into how we're giving feedback to the artist, how we're receiving the feedback from the artist, and trying to play that balancing act of collaboration. And the clean slating is something that I think, as long as maybe that's a conversation you have with the artist, you know, and let them know, hey, like, there's this idea that I think is really good for us to remember in this process. There's a thing called demoitis when we like the first version of the edit and we might be attached to it, but let's be open-minded. Let's understand that we might feel that way. And then there's also this thing called clean slating. And you watch the video now so many times, you're obviously going to pick out all the things that you feel are mistakes through watching it too much. Remember, you are now filling in gaps that you feel like could be what's making it great because you're just watching it too much. So you're trying to predict, is someone going to watch it 50 times or 100 times and see these problems? Whereas like, just look at it from the first time viewer. Like, let's be patient with that. Maybe let's sit on it for a couple of days, go back and look at it and see, like, did we change our minds? Do we change our minds? And if we do that, and then we look at it and say, no, actually that was the right decision, like it really does work, then cool. Like, we'll go with that. When I look at my Vimeo, this is the last thing I'll say. When I look at my Vimeo and I see like multiple drafts of videos, sometimes like I always go back to that very first one just to see what it's like. And oftentimes, again, like I said, it's not the first one that's the right one. I know that. It's usually like the second or third, somewhere in there. That's always like kind of the one. And it's only because you've done that like nitpicking. I think once you start getting into like versions like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and like it's just going up higher and higher and higher. I don't know. Like I think now at this point it's starting to feel a little bit just overly thought, maybe possibly, you know. So I don't know. These are my opinions. I don't have the right answer. I don't have the right answer, but it's an interesting conversation to try to find that balance with the clean slating. So more than anything, I enjoy the conversation. I don't think I have the right answer. I think I have an intuition that feels right. But again, this is what's so fun about creating. It's like it's definitely trying to find the balance and trying to find how you tick. And I think overall, for me, it's very fun to sit there and try to figure out a project when you're passionate about something. It gets a little bit less fun when there's a little bit when it becomes argumentative, or when the egos start to get involved and stuff like that. Then it doesn't really become fun anymore. But as long as there could be like some kind of truth and honesty within the conversation, there's communication, then it stays fun and fresh. And then as long as there's understanding, and at some point you got to do what I think the healthiest thing for you is to detach from it, not think of it as a defining project. And that will probably be major reasons why you create something really cool. But if you stay attached to it and you just keep thinking those things like, this is going to be the one, you'll overthink. Definitely think you overthink. So, all right. Well, I hope you guys have a great day. This was a great chapter, clean slating. What do you do in times of overthinking? What are the problems that you have? We'd love to hear them. Appreciate it again for tuning in. Until next time, stay positive, stay happy, be in the moment, be present, and keep on pushing. Thanks.